Yeah, forever be grateful for Brice Williams and Juwan Gary for everything that they've done for our program, and been through some pretty special moments with within the history of Nebraska basketball. And I'm just so proud of both of those guys for everything that they've accomplished, not only on the court but more importantly off the court, and the growth that I've seen. Juwan Gary, if he would have told me 3 years ago that he would have emerged as the leader, I would have questioned that. But he just has come in and done what's ever asked of him. And, the kid plays with so much heart and effort. And I know he's going to go down as a lot of people's, up there with one of their favorites that's ever worn the uniform. And, Brice, what he has accomplished, when you jump up a level, you never really know what type of production you're going to have. And he had an unbelievable season a year ago, but we needed somebody to emerge into that go-to guy. And when you need a basket, who's going to have the ball in their hands? And, Brice consistently has made the right play. And, early in the year, we had close games, and he was the guy that helped us, extend a lead and win some tight ball games kind of going away. And, what he did against Ohio State, and is in the record books right now, all-time leading scoring performance in a single game. Just everything that he has done for this team, getting us in the tournament a year ago. I mean, still a lot of things to play out. I'm confident we'll play in some postseason. Hopefully it's the big one, but I think we're going to continue on playing basketball after this. Sorry, where were we? Yeah, I love them both. At the end of the day, I love both those guys, and they'll go down as two of my all-time favorites. And then, in the other guys as well, Raleigh, Braxton, Aaron, for what they've done, Andrew in the 1 year we've had him. And a guy that, I know I've talked about him some, but Jeff Grace, holds a special place in my heart. He played AAU basketball with my twins back in Chicago. And, he's honestly the voice you hear every day is Jeff's. And, he's out there at the end of games trying to get on the floor and get steals. And, I love that kid. I'm going to do whatever I can to help him. Mom passed away from COVID, several years ago, and he needed a home. And I think he found that here. So, Jeff Grace, again, I know you guys don't see what he does and the impact that he has in our program, but, when you have guys that sit down there at the end of the bench that bring positive energy and a voice every day, it's such a luxury for us as coaches.
What do you tell guys about managing the emotions of seniors?
Yeah, I think I tell this story every year that, that senior day comes around. I got beat my senior day because I was so charged up and I was so emotional going into that. And, there's so much at stake for us with this game. And you just can't let your emotions get out of control. I was so hyped up. I was missing shots barely on the back of the rim that, I'd made my whole career. I was 3 for 16 against Oklahoma. I can tell you what every shot was. I stole the ball, and, I didn't slam it on the ground, like what happened. But, it messed me up. So, you got to have your emotions in check with this game. And I think our guys will. They've prepared well, after an absolute gut punch of a loss, 3 of them in a row now. And, they've still found a way to bounce back and prepare. And, excited to see what we have tomorrow. I'll say this. I walked in there, and Brice and Juwan were addressing the team, and I let them talk. I just let them go, and, just told them they were talking about how, they'll go to battle with those guys every day of the week. And, they, talked about how proud they were of the effort through some tremendous adversity that we faced in that game. And, we had to get over that. You can have hangovers, obviously, in this business, especially when, you repeatedly get kicked in the nuts, and that's what's in the gut, and that's what's happened to us on multiple occasions this year. So our guys, again, to have leaders, seniors, to be able to get your guys back on track quickly when those types of things happen. You have to have it. And again, those guys have done a great job emerging into the guys, the voice. You have to have it. Your best players have to be the guys that set the example and set the tone. And that's where Brice and Juwan, I really think have grown, into those roles. And again, I was proud of them when I walked in that locker room after the game, and those two guys, there was no head hanging, and those guys wouldn't allow it after the loss.
From a former player's perspective, does a stretch like this motivate you to get over that hump more, or does it, I guess, how much mental toll does it take having games end like this?
I'd love to lie to you and say it doesn't have any effect, but sure it does. I mean, when you have, in all different circumstances, we miss a shot at the end of the game. Minnesota makes a shot at the end of the game. You saw everything that happened in the last game against Ohio State. We don't need to relive all that. And, it's three completely different circumstances on how we lost those games. So, yes, it does take its toll, to answer your question, Justin. But, it is what it is, and we are where we are. And there's nothing we can do about it right now, except for go out and prepare for the next one. And that's what our guys have done a solid job of. And, I know Iowa's going to come in here hungry as well. There's a lot at stake in this game for all of us. So, we just got to be on point. We got to go out there and hopefully execute the plan and get off to a good start in an early game.
When did you see that mental verbal from Juwan? Do you remember when you saw him kind of having a different personality?
I think most consistently, Wilson, it was this year. This year he became you saw it at times last year, but it was more when things were going well. And he's been so much more consistent in that. And again, you have to have it. When you lose Casey, who was, I've never seen a guy that brought positive energy more than Casey. Kid had a smile on his face, whatever happened, every day that I've seen him. I saw him in Columbus the other day. He was the same guy, even though it's been a tough year for him. And, you lose that. You lose Rink. Even though he's around, it's not the same impact when you're not on the floor. You lose Josiah. Even though he was around for a while, it's not the same. You lose CJ, who, again, he was a guy that really emerged into a leader for us a year ago. So, some of it was because of the necessity of somebody taking over that role and being the consistent guy. And Juwan, for the most part, has been that. He's done that. And again, I'm really, really proud of him. And it's going to benefit him greatly for the rest of his career.
You're familiar with this program beyond your time as a head coach here. I know you still got a story to write and finish here, but would you put Brice with the all-time greats in Nebraska?
Yeah, I mean, I played against probably the ones that you're putting up at the top, except for Ty Lue came in, I think, a year after I did. And obviously there's some great players before. But I was in an era of Nebraska basketball playing at Iowa State where there were some pretty special players. And, you look at the Piatkowskis, Jerron Boone, Eric Strickland, Mikey Moore. I mean, there were some great players. Bo Reed a little bit before me. And, all those guys were great players. But, Brice is what he's done, especially down the stretch right here, to average, 20 points per game. As far as individual talent, yes, I'd put him up, with anybody. And again, he's put himself in a really good position for his future. And, what he did, right around the new year with the tournament in Hawaii and how we played out there and carried that over to Indiana and UCLA. And, the way that he is playing now at the end, it's been fun to see how consistent he has become in that go-to guy role. So, yeah, Brice's talent has been phenomenal. And the thing about Brice, he does it with multiple positions. I mean, he got slid into a spot last year because, of a positional need where he played really more for the first time in his life with the ball in his hands. And now he's playing both roles. And again, that's going to benefit him greatly in his professional career. But yeah, I mean, he's putting himself in a great position.
Real quick, sorry, you had mentioned after the game on Tuesday that you were obviously unhappy with some calls. Did you even bother or try sending anything?
Yeah, sure we did. And I got a call. The way it works is supervisor officials. I actually got a call that night. So we talked that night about different things and my frustrations. And, obviously we can sit here and rehash every one of them. There's a lot of them. But, it's not going to do us any good. It's not going to get the game back. But, yes, I had a conversation. And, he said most of my grievances I was right on, which, again, that doesn't make me feel better, but, that's the process, and I know there's nothing they can do about it. I like all those officials that we had. I really do. I feel I've got good relationships with those guys. you know, they're human. I get it. But, yeah, I mean, there were some things I think that could have solidified that game for us. And I'm not talking about the soccer throw-in on the sideline at the end of the game. You know, there were several things before that happened, and, you know, that just they weren't called. They didn't go in our favor, which is frustrating because I think if you win that game, you know, we're in. And, you know, that's the thing that's really frustrating to me is, you know, now, you know, everything, if you win that one game, you know, that was a playing game, in our opinion. And our guys did everything to give us the opportunity to win it. But again, it happened. You can't sit here and cry about it. You got to get over it, and you got to move on to the next one. And again, I give our guys credit, you know, for finding a way to bounce back, you know, as opposed to crawling in the corner and sucking your thumb and, you know, feeling sorry for yourself. So, you know, you move on. It is what it is, and, you know, hopefully we go out and play well tomorrow.